there's nothing I love more than a game that tries to do something unique. While I can always depend on a standard fighting game or platformer to satisfy a good craving, I'll forever be intrigued by games that decide to think outside of the box and mix-mash ideas in an interesting way. And today's game serves as a perfect example. Save for a particular Sega Saturn game, which we will definitely take a look at on this channel, I can't say I've ever come across a game like Love and Destroy. Daring to mix third-person mecha action with light dating sim elements, Love and Destroy carves out its own individual niche in the PS1's expansive and varied library. And despite some challenges in execution, its ambition does not go unnoticed. Released exclusively in Japan on the PlayStation 1 towards the tail end of 1999, developed by Inti Creates and Arc Systems, Love and Destroy spiritedly tells the story of an unnamed protagonist who is visited by a trio of beautiful mecha pilots from the future, who have traveled back to the past in hopes of getting a jump on a race of invading aliens set on destroying the world. And it's with this simple story that you take on the role of co-pilot. Once you're behind the controls of each mech, you'll be met with a small handful of satisfying, yet simple missions, each of which boil down to a Monster of the Day anime plot where you'll duck behind buildings, destroy city infrastructure, and demolish alien scum in a frenzied burst of mechanized mayhem. Each of your stunning co-pilots don a different ship with varying stats and attacks. Kiki strolls at a mid-tempo but mans some decent weaponry. Vivi is quick and resilient, and Lulu is quite literally a tank, but unfortunately controls like one too. Out of our three heroines, she's the one I used the least. Speaking of controls, I nearly gave up on this game because, let's face it, while the default controls may have been deemed passable back in 1999, anyone accustomed to modern 3D gaming is going to struggle to adapt to this game's non-dual stick system. Thankfully, due to the extremely smart inclusion of full controller remapping, this game goes from nigh unplayable to quite manageable when you map your view controls to the face buttons or second stick. Fundamentally, these skirmishes with our monstrous extraterrestrial foes are enjoyable, though sometimes they feel overly chaotic given the control limitations and claustrophobic camera. In turn, quickly getting out of harm's way poses a greater challenge than one might expect, but implementing the old tried and true circle strafe technique does prove fruitful. Just be sure to stay nimble and swap weapons to keep your foes at bay. In some respects, Love and Destroy is a complex game. Not in the sense that it's difficult to understand, but rather it doesn't quite fulfill its intended ambitions. Sure, you have both your mecha fights and dating sim components, but neither aspects feel fully developed. For instance, the game lasts a slender 7 missions, one of which is repeated for whatever reason. Moreover, your only goal is to destroy your foe before the time is up, so while the game's visual polish, fog aside, makes each level and boss feel epic, the action lacks any deeper progression. Likewise, the dating sim elements are similarly sparse, only appearing sporadically as multiple choice sequences after successfully completing a level. And the only other objective that factors into your love life is the choice of which pilot you tackle each mission with. And as someone with little to no interest in dating sims, I do kind of wish these elements were expanded upon. Perhaps after each mission you also got the choice to take the girl on a date, and depending on what you did, like take her to dinner or buy her some jewelry, it would go towards improving her stats for the next battle. I feel this, coupled with some additional levels, could have significantly boosted the game's unique ideas. Instead, you're met with the extensive cutscenes, and to be fair, these fully animated segments that make up the other half of this game were stunningly drawn and clearly given the utmost care and attention, as manga artist Masakazu Katsura did not skimp on the designs. I mean, they truly shine as a high point, as the girls are lively, beautifully detailed, and fully voiced. And it's no surprise that the lavish animated sequences really pop, considering the studio behind them was none other than Production IG, whose back catalog is nothing to scoff at, including 1995's seminal Ghost in the Shell, the iconic animated sequence in Kill Bill Volume 1, and some personal favorites of mine including Blue Seed, Kimi no Toroke, and Blue Spring Ride. Not to mention they even provided a helping hand to Gainax on End of Evangelion and Fooly Cooly, so their resume is quite robust. And as mentioned above, character designer Masakazu Katsura also has some weight to his name as the creator of Video Girl Ai, amongst others. He even did character work on the Tiger and Bunny series, as well as for Platinum Games' underrated gem, Astral Chain. Despite its brevity and at times questionable controls and camera, Love and Destroy still manages to capture a distinct aura of shonen-like heroism that any 90s anime enthusiast can appreciate. Its bold fusion of genres and meticulously crafted animated sequences make this mixed medium experiment a fascinating playthrough regardless of the language barrier. Admittedly, I'm in the minority here, as most retro gamers will most likely crave a bit more action out of this one, and those that do are better off checking out Real Robot's Final Attack. But if you're like myself and fancy some old school mecha anime, the likes of Evangelion, Macross, or Gundam, then I'd certainly consider checking out this little PlayStation oddity. But considering its $60 to $90 price point, that might be a tall ask for most. So maybe load this one up in an emulator and give it a shot, as you might just love it. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, consider checking out these other videos right here, or even subscribing. Also, if you'd like to throw me a couple of bucks, you can support the show on Patreon.